All right, everybody, welcome. I got terrible allergies, so I'm sorry I have to deal with it. But let's get going right away. I just want to show everybody that we always talk about Wall Street and how smart these big money managers are. Well, just go back in time. We were talking about Wolf below a dollar, 80 cents, 60 cents, a dollar, whatever it was. Now Morgan Stanley is recommending it, and these big funds that you think are so smart are all buying it now. Okay, so these people do not do any work. They're being told by Wall Street what to do, what not to do. Okay, and they block all the buying in small cap stocks all the time. And they, so these people, believe me, just do your homework. You're smarter than them. I've covered them all. I know who they are. They don't do any work. They go to lunch. They come back. They have a conference call. And if I was a broker at Morgan Stanley, I'd call you up and say, hey, Barbara, once you go out and buy a couple of million shares of Wolf, our target's $41. And you say, okay, Tony, I'll buy 2 million, 3 million shares. Thank you very much for the heads up. That's it. Our target's 41, and they would give you an order. Because they're not using their money, they're using other people's money. They run money, and that's where the big money comes in. That's it. That's Wall Street. There's nothing more to it than that. A broker gives an idea that the firm has supposedly done some work on. I don't know where they were at 80 cents where I met them. All you had to do is go meet them. They were telling you they were mining Bitcoin using nuclear power where everybody else was doing, water, whatever energy they were using at the time. All right, so again, these guys had the deals done. I said it a long time ago. If you meet them, you get the information. That's how it works. So you're actually smarter than them. And I can go back in time and give you, and I just I just spoke with Christian Shaughnessy about the short and distort gang, if the DOJ is on this call, which I welcome them to join, is just go back in time. IMMU, Adam Florenstein, destroyed the stock from 5 down to 2 or 2.5, calling it a fraud, trying to sneak in old data about breast cancer and to the ABSCO conference, which is the premier cancer conference. I was long at the time. He put an article out at 10:30 at night on a Thursday night. They were scheduled to speak at Friday morning at 8. The conference canceled them because of the story and never got it out and made it look like fraud. I posted the headline many times. If you just go Google it yourself, IMMU, Adam Fronstein, you could just read the headline, company, I tried to present fraudulent data. Stock went down. Well, guess what? In time that came up, the stock was acquired by GILD at $88 a share. Well, I think it was like a $20 billion deal. That's fraudulent data. That was the naked shorts, knowing the data was good, needed to cover it, and they got Adam Fronstein to come out with his short and distort story so people panic. And you say, come on, that's just one example. Well, I'll give you another one. Dog Victor Apple, Jim Chanos, the famous short seller, exposed Enron. Dog Victor Apple came out and said that the company was a scam. I put the picture up. It went from 59 to 52. I posted on Twitter. I said either the company's a zero or it's going to 100. Well, it's 150. Think about the people that bailed out on the 59 to 52. Jim Chanos must have covered on that wipeout. And then he retired after that. Never said another word. Called it a scam on TV everywhere. Google it. It's right there. Dog Victor Apple. And that was a kidney dialysis company. He wanted to kill that one. Think about what I'm showing you. Breast cancer, kidney dialysis. Right? You get to see it all right there in front of you. And then let's look at the last one that off the top of my head, I'm sure there's many more. Eddie X-Ray Apple Sam. Andrew Leff came out with his story calling it garbage. CNBC put him on with the head doctor. He was a scientist. He developed that if you go to the bathroom in this box, they can test to see if you have colon cancer, I guess, and other forms of cancer. Andrew left, said no one's going to do it, sell the stock, get out of it. The stock went from 29 to 21. I know people that were long it and sold it. I actually did the test. I got the results back to my doctor. All right, so I did it. Many people did. Well, the stock was acquired the other day by Abbott Labs at $104 a share. That was a company that they were trying to get you to bail out of, $104 a share. So as you can see, what's the pattern if the DOJ is listening? Companies that actually are going to survive and beat these characters, all right, they are always attacked. They're always attacked, and there's a pattern. I just showed you 3 examples of it. The 4th example I could do with Bill Ackman, who attacked Herbalife, calling it a fraud, and then got squeezed out, covered, lost $1 billion, and never said another word about it again. It was a fraud. The stock is still around at $16 today, and that was years ago. And now he's celebrated. He went public yesterday, and his IPO got smashed. Why? Because he's probably upset many people on Wall Street and they want nothing to do with him. All right, so there's 4 examples of short and distort, and these characters, including Hindenburg, all do the same thing. When Andrew Left used to attack companies, I used to call him wrong way left, because whatever he said, you buy it, in 2 days it would go the other way. He did little or none research on this stuff. He's a buffoon out of Boca Raton, and he was a front for the short sellers. That's all he was. Okay, Chanos and these other guys probably did a little more work, but they're basically doing the same pattern. When they're not going to win, they roll out the short and distort the bash companies until people panic. That's what they did. All right, so if the DOJ is listening, Andrew Left has a history of doing that. So if his trial's coming up, just go back to Stock Lemon and all his posts on Stock Lemon, all the guys in Boca Raton that all traded on that. You can do that. Then he went to Citron. You could probably lock that guy up for 100 years until he gives up everybody else in the network. All right, so that's pretty easy. All right, let's move on. GDC. Yesterday, the company had a filing again. They're going to raise $300 million, and the stock was manipulated down. And that guy frankly posted it without doing any due diligence on it. He's a good guy. I don't really know him. But the company announced they're doing a $100 million buyback when they sell their Bitcoin. So you're telling me the company's going to raise $300 million and buy back their own stock? They're going to, when they squeeze the shorts, they have access to $300 million they can raise. You have to file it before. The SEC requires you to do it. CAR just went from $93 to $850, and they didn't raise any money. Why? Because they had nothing filed to do it. All right? A short squeeze happens fast. You need to raise it into the hype. That's what happens. When they're covering, that's when you raise it. If they would have came out and said at $500 that we're going to file and raise money, the stock would have went straight down because everyone would have known that they're raising money. But if they had the ATM, okay, where they're actually able to raise money in place, filed with the SEC, this company could have raised billions easy into that squeeze of $845. Think about that. So, again, people that filed that they own the stock, those guys that bought the stock, they all sold into it. You can't blame them. And now the company's looking at them saying, hey, you guys filed it, that you owned it, you manipulated the stock. We want a piece of your action. Instead of going after the short sellers, the management should be fired for not doing that. They had an opportunity of a lifetime there. They have to file the ATMs, and that's what GDC did. Now, GDC, to me, looks like they trapped the shorts. This filing's been out for a month and a half. It was repeated yesterday, and yesterday traded 60,000 shares. So some fools shorting it, trying to get ahead of the company raising that money. Now we're upside down on the thing. It's pretty easy math. The company has 7,500 Bitcoin, multiply it times the price of Bitcoin, and it's got $580 million in cash. They need to raise $300 million and destroy the gentleman that owns 39 million shares at $23. I doubt it. It's a complete. Everyone involved will be hung. That's how fraudulent that one is. If they were to do something like that, because the press releases are out there. The board approved the sale of Bitcoin and the buyback of $100 million worth of stock. So if we all bought stock based on that, and then see them raising money, doing a $300 million raise, the liability will wipe out their Bitcoin earnings. We'll take it all from them. So that is completely wrong, and I believe the stock is going to take off. How high will it go? The more they sell, the higher it goes. Just follow Bitcoin. Everyone says Bitcoin's going to the moon. So let the company sit with it, and let's see what happens. I'm willing to sit and wait, all right, because I think the reward's going to be outstanding. All right, so then you got your GDC. I talked about your Wolf. Wolf, to me, is exactly like NRGV. 100%. Just changed. It's the same thing. Both of them we recommended at 80 cents. Where do we get the opportunity as a small little group of people, okay? I don't have Bloomberg terminals. I don't have this. I don't have that. But just understanding what's going on here. If you go back and look, I posted who were the founders, who were the backers in the beginning. It was SoftBank and Saudi Aramco. All right, we got the call. I remember I posted it was from Morgan Stanley, and they told us that these guys who were behind this company, you got to get involved. It was 80 cents. 80 cents. It went to 650. There's 700 million shares naked short in the stock. The real short, I think, is 17 million or 18 million. I forgot the exact number. I know it's pretty big. So these guys are shorting it. The company raised the money. Did Wolf raise the money? Wolf did the same thing. Wolf did the same thing as NRGV. They raised money. They got contracts. Things are exploding. And here it is. It looks exactly like Wolf. Wolf was out picked up by Morgan Stanley, giving it a $41 target. NRGV has 700 million shares short. I posted 600, but give it time. Over the last 7 months where I haven't posted the data again, it's got to be around 700 million right now. All right. The Wolf short is, my friend said the Wolf short is over 10 billion. Right? It could be. It's massive. These numbers are massive. That Wolf number is way over. Okay, so the Wolf number is still massive. Okay, these guys are getting roasted here alive. I said these numbers are massive all over. If the DOJ is listening again, we can get the data on Wolf for you. I can get the data on the NRGV, GDC, Finger Motion. I can get all the data you want. I can go right to the source who gets it straight from the finger. Okay, so we can get that data. So if you are listening, this is a massive problem, biggest fraud in U.S. history. All right, so now the NRGV to me looks exactly like Wolf. You have insider buying. The company's announcing projects all over the place. And on top of that, it's a hot sector, energy storage. Okay, it's a hot sector. Every talk about is energy. You can look at their contracts. They're not small. They're big players behind this, and they're popping up all over the world. All right, so there's your NRG. How high can NRG go? You know, I was saying 30, 20, 30. This thing could be 50 to 70. I don't know. All right, but again, they're not covering. Just do the real short. I think it's 18 million shares. It's trading 1 million shares today. How are they covering? All right, these guys have been pressing their bet, trying to break the stock. Insider buying has turned it the opposite way. So again, NRGV, I don't think it's going to be in a second, but it's going to go. All right, they can't hold it down. That's the NRGV. Let's talk about our favorite Finger Motion. All right, I told you yesterday, I told you yesterday about Finger Motion that a shareholder who I do not know, all right, reached out to the Department of Justice. I don't know who at the Department of Justice. I don't know the shareholder's name. Okay, I know people that know the shareholder. Okay, that's as close as I can get to it. I'm trying to get more information for us on who they spoke with. Is there an agent? How they do it? I don't know. Okay, I have no idea. But again, this guy spoke with them. They called him back. He gave them all the details that you would want to see, that we know about. He gave to them yesterday. Hold on one second. I got to give the dogs a bone here. They're going to start barking. I'm sorry. Here you go, guys. I'm sorry about that. He gave them all the information. He gave them their faces, the pictures that are posted, everything. From what I'm told, he understands it, whoever it is. Okay, I don't know who it is. Well, I'm not going to give him up when I do get it because I don't want the guy to get murdered for something. All right, because people disappear when you become a whistleblower. It's pretty strange, right? But anyway, they reached out. He gave them all the information. Okay. So there is definitely something going on the naked short selling front. And if you had to bend my arm, I think it's because we just keep exposing them on Twitter. And everyone, the DOJ wants to have a fraud hotline. It's there. Just retweet whatever you want to say. Help yourself. There's no shame here. We want to see the proof. Show us the data that we're wrong. No one says anything. All right? It's pretty wild that the information is all around here. We can all see it. And once it gets exposed, they're the ones that are going to go away for a long time. All right? So the DOJ has reached out to a shareholder, not me. Again, I just want you to know that. And I think that it's showtime. I think things are happening. MMTLP, I told you we heard things were happening with them. All right? Things have, I do believe that something's coming down. All right? Again, that's what we know about that. I told you yesterday that the Finger Motion, I heard the gentleman that is tied to this group, his wife had a baby, and maybe that's what slowed down the acquisition of the shares by this new group that's coming in, this new group. And there was a guy posting on Twitter, and I retweeted it this morning. Someone put up a thing about SKYQ, and that it's a potential short squeeze. And I posted to the gentleman. I said, buddy, you missed it already. You went to 19 already. I don't know who it was. I forgot who. I retweeted it. You can probably see my post on Twitter. He posted it up there, and I said, hey, you missed it already. It already happened. I forgot where I post. I post so much. I just try to keep getting this stuff out there for us. And but SKYQ, a gentleman posted that this stock was going to be a short squeeze candidate, and I actually told him he missed it already. I'm just trying to look and see who the hell it was. Give me 1 second. I'm scrolling as fast as I can. And I don't really see it. I've been up since 5:30. Excuse me. The coughing of the allergies got me nutty. I don't see it. But anyway, SKYQ is the group. They were involved in that one from 3 to 19. They sold into the run, and they come into Finger Motion. All right? Again, I don't know the second. I believe they started to acquire shares last week. The buying came from somewhere. It wasn't anybody that I knew. And I believe they're starting to stick their toes in the water. Remember, if you're going to get behind the stock, you need to own the stock before you start pushing it higher. They want to make money. They're not in the business of pushing a stock up without having a position. If you worked on Wall Street, you would know that. You have to get in first, then you let people know what you're doing. All right? That's how it works. So unfortunately, that's how it works. No one's going to sit there and say, hey, wait a second, let me go load up on it, and then I'll tell you what it is. So these guys are probably tiptoeing in, getting their family members in, friends, family, close friends first. And if they made $15 or $10 in that SKYQ, they could buy Finger Motion keep 9 in their pocket profit and use $1 to start buying finger motion. Remember, when it goes to 2 finger motion, they're only going to make $8. They still have the position, but they risk only $2 of the 10 they made. So the higher it goes, you take away from, you're risking more money. So they want to try to get as much as possible. I can't tell you the second they're coming, but I believe they are coming. Okay, there's stuff coming out from the company I'm hearing. We heard that they're doing some major stuff's going to come out. Again, I hope it's tied to AI in some shape or form. I've been hearing it is. I don't know exactly what it is. I actually don't even know what the hell, how AI works in the data centers and all this stuff. But if it's based on data, Finger Motion has the data on 1.4 billion Chinese people based through the telecoms. Can they use that data into the AI? I don't know how it works. All right, but I'm hearing there's something major coming out on that front. What day is it going to come? I was told within 2 weeks. Well, we're getting closer. The stock manipulated. It was up to 110. They won't let us go over 110. We're to 115. How fast they try to manipulate it back down. Pete from Philly was posting that these guys are trying to manipulate it by the end of the month, trying to get their marks. That's what they try to do. And it's funny, all the stocks had that same look. NRGV down to 410. HLP was pushed down to 80 cents. GDC was pushed down yesterday. Finger Motion was pushed down to 95 cents. How did 4 stocks that have nothing to do with each other all have the same pattern? Amongst other ones. I can't list them all. But they all had the same pattern on the exact same type of days. All right, so the pattern is push it down. Remember, if the DOJ and FBI are here, they can't let the stocks go up because the margin money kills them. They're basically betting with money they don't have. And brokers, like that guy from Morgan Stanley, the chubby guy that's on Twitter, he should be arrested. Even though he's a good guy now, grab him in, lock him up. He took the orders because he wanted the commission. His bosses at Morgan Stanley told him to make it short just to get the business in. Who were the prime brokers that allowed it? Who worked at Morgan Stanley that Morgan Stanley was naked shorting shares? What did they deliver to the people that bought it? Nothing. The guy's telling you he did it. It's not me telling you. He did it, and he put it in the video. It's in the video. So that guy should be locked up. He should give up his client. His boss should go to jail. Morgan Stanley's back office, because they obviously didn't deliver anything. And that's how you get your fails to deliver, because they didn't deliver anything. And the guy was telling you, the system allows you to make it short. It's right there. We can point it out to you. It's right on Twitter. Matter of fact, when I get off this call, I'll repost it for you, the FBI, DOJ, if you're listening. You guys right there. I naked shorted every day. And to give you more proof, everyone sits there and says, well, show me more proof. Well, The Economist in June of 2014 put a story out. The regulators are rattled by the amount of fails to deliver. That's a naked short. If people aren't delivering something, it's because they don't have it. Right? If you did have it, you would deliver it. Okay, it's all fraud. It's massive. The Economist told us this. I posted the SEC Chairman Cox talking about naked short selling fraud in 2008, I think is when he did that video. I even posted the Harvey Pitt, who passed away recently, another SEC commission, how to fix naked short selling. And 99% of Wall Street fraud will go away because it's all tied to naked short selling, the manipulation using shares that aren't being delivered. Anybody that needs to raise money, the manipulation of the stocks to push them lower, to get more prices or get more shares in the hands of the criminals. That's what Hudson Bay does. That's what Jeff Easton does as debt spiral lenders. They sell the stock shorts, push them down. If they have to convert, think about it. If you gave me $10 million and the stock is $2 and you have to convert, you would only get 5 million shares, right? Equals $10 million. Push it down to $1, you get 10 million shares. push it down to pennies or bankrupt it, they make all the money. They never have to convert. And they pay no tax on it. If the FBI and DOJ is listening, naked short selling, when they wipe out a company, there's no tax because there's no closing transaction. We don't talk about that enough, but that's one of the IRS should be looking at. So if the IRS is paying attention to it, when you look at these characters, look at the closing transactions. I was going to put a friend of mine who was in a famous short seller's office. He didn't want to cover his share. He didn't want to cover his share because he didn't want the tax consequence. All right, of having to pay back the government, because if he covered it, he'd rather drive it to zero. And that's the scam. And it's going on all over the board. They're in every name. I'm sure they're in Cisco and Intel and IBM and Microsoft. MicroStrategies is billions of shares. MSTR is billions of shares, naked short. Obviously, they're shooting against crypto and all these ETFs. It's a big shit show there. All the exchanges want is volume, action, volume. If a casino doesn't have anybody playing in it, they don't make any money. If the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, or the over-the-counter has no people playing every day with this massive volume, 100 million shares trading in a company, we got 400,000 shares in a float. How is that possible? They want action. They want volume. Ken Griffin needs volume. Robinhood needs volume. For those people who are thinking they're supporting Robinhood, that guy sold out all the retail investors to save his own skin at $10. He's a billionaire, and all the poor slobs in GameStop who were forced, they couldn't buy any more shares. They had to sell only in GameStop. All lost their money because of him. And if you have your account there, shame on you. You're a fool. That guy's a billionaire, and I don't care if you lost $1 or you lost $1 million or $5 million because he shut down the buying Robinhood to save his own ass. Because his firm was allowing people to buy it. He wasn't getting delivery, and they didn't do anything about it. And the liability at his firm was off the chart, and he had to protect his firm versus protecting his own investors. Now he's a major superstar. He's got this wonderful business. Close your account out. The stock will go to zero. I don't understand how anybody supports him. Never keep your account there. And people have done that. So again, that's Robinhood for you. I talked about these other crazy names like Reddit. Again, I have no interest. I don't go there. I could care less. But being a Wall Street guy, you can see the value and you can see how people look at these things. All right? If I was to post to buy NRGV, the shorts would go up there and post, the company's market cap is $30 billion. You got to sell this thing. That's, if you talk about it on the naked short selling side. If I expose a naked short, and the market cap is too high, the bashes will attack me. It's got a $30 billion valuation and all this nonsense, Everybody will say that. Now I look at it and say, okay, I'm looking at it from the long side, telling you that this company has a $30 billion valuation and it should be shorted. Well, it went down $20 already. $20, it's gone down. All right, so that company is just like Investors Hub. It's just like Investors Hub, the Raging Bull, Truth Social. How many message boards do we need? Right? Think about it. The only one that I could think of and it's private is what? Twitter. So that's where I go, and I know most of the professionals that I know all in the same spot. All right, so again, Reddit, DoorDash, the pizza delivery man that's overcharging people, price of fuel's going up, and people are still ordering and getting delivery. How could they make money? Just think about it. Again, I'm not here. I'm trying to educate you on how people think about stocks. And these stocks have been pushed to the heavens, okay, by big funds. And it's just a fund that's listening to some guy, Morgan Stanley, telling you to buy the stock. And when you buy a stock at Morgan Stanley as a big fund, when they get an IPO, guess who helps you out? Morgan Stanley. You get shares in these hot IPOs. That's how it works. Again, excuse me. Again, I'm just trying to teach you how investing works on the street. All right? So again, I'm not here I'm just trying to teach you. You look at it yourself. But how many message boards do you actually need? And DoorDash is just a pizza delivery guy. I don't get it. How is that a $150 stock? Cancer companies, I forget the symbol on IBRX, I think it is. The gentleman from California, his stock is $6.50. That company should be $50. How do you people not support cancer companies? But yet they're supporting DoorDash, the guy delivering a pizza? You lazy bastards, go pick up the pizza. I don't understand it. That just shows you how stupid Wall Street is. They're bringing anything they can to go public, to make money on it. And that's the investment banks, because there's no companies want to go public because they're all robbed. Good companies don't want to go public. Shit companies want to go public because they're promoting shit. DoorDash is just a pizza delivery guy. But anyway, just wanted you to talk about the stuff that we're seeing. I think we're gaining a lot of traction with the federal agencies. I think it's going to come. And again, you have to be in it to win it. Stocks start wherever they start. NRGV, Wolf, 80 cents. Wolf is now going to 41. Companies need a chance to take a shot on what they're doing. These guys bash them before you even get started and call the companies frauds. It's the same pattern everywhere. Don't fall for their shit. Make your own determination. Don't listen to me. Just read what they're doing. Companies are trying to get started on things, and they just kill them. Just look at MMTLP. The company had this, they created a dividend, they created a whole shit show, and took everybody's money and never said a word again. But I think MMTLP, as I told you before, I hear they're gaining traction. I'm hearing out of D.C. from a lawyer, and I think it's going to happen. And that's you know what? If I told you about CAR at 93, you would have hung the phone up on me. All right? Here it goes to $845. BIRD. Whoever thought the stock would go from 3 to 24, 9 a month, one day. That other crazy stock, I forgot the symbol, SMX or SME, I can't remember, went to 500. So it's always round trip back down. Hey, when they round trip and go back down, shame on you if you don't make the sales. I told you how to sell stocks when they start to go. You sell little all the way time up, get your money off the table, and then when it really spikes, you make the sales. That's how you have to do it. If you didn't sell it, shame on you. GameStop people, they sat with it, and a lot of people lost money in that thing. And thanks to Robinhood for shutting down the buying, because they stopped the short squeeze there. Anyway, people, I got to take my medication for my allergies. I'm starting to get stuffy and choking here. Anyway, I gave you what I believe. I gave you the recap of the names we do follow. Finger motion is the place to be. Again, I don't know the time. They're holding it down. They hold it down until they can't hold it down. That's how it works. I can't tell you what day it's going to go. I can't tell you how windy the road is going to be to get to this point. But I've been saying the same shit for 6 years. And I think people are listening now. Anyway, everyone, have a great day. And I'm going to go do my nasal spray. Have a great day. Thank you.